There's this little voice that seems to follow almost every high performer up the corporate ladder. We call it the inner critic. And here's the thing we all get wrong. We think success is going to shut it up. But for a lot of us, it just turns up the volume.
Sound familiar? It's that whisper, right? The one that shows up the second after a huge win and just pokes holes in it. It's that voice of doubt, and trust me, it's got a playbook. Its one and only goal is to convince you that your success was a fluke, that it had nothing to do with you. Yeah, I'm willing to bet you have. And it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter how many awards are on your shelf or how great your performance review was. This voice has exactly one job: to make you doubt everything and feel like a total fraud, like you're just one wrong move away from everyone finding you out. All right, so this leads us to what we can call the myth of arrival. This is that promotion, that one big step up you think is going to fix everything. It's this deep-seated belief that the next thing, becoming a director or a VP or getting that corner office in the C-suite, that's the finish line. That's when you'll finally feel like you belong, and that nagging voice will just fade away. And it's such a tempting idea, isn't it? We completely hook our sense of self-worth onto that next milestone. We tell ourselves, okay, this project, no, this promotion, this is the one that's going to finally prove I'm not faking it. But what we're really doing is just setting ourselves up for this endless loop of letdown. And this creates what you could call the high performer's loop. It's so predictable. Step 1, you target the next big win. Step 2, you grind, you work like crazy, and you deliver. Step 3, you feel this brief, fleeting moment of relief. And then, step 4, almost instantly, the voice is back, but with a whole new angle. This whole cycle, it tends to repeat every 3 to 5 years, which, surprise, surprise, lines up perfectly with most promotion cycles. And this is the lie the critic whispers to keep us running on that hamster wheel. It just keeps moving the goalposts, right? It totally dismisses what you just accomplished and immediately points to the next thing on the horizon, promising that that's where the real feeling of success is hiding. It's a really smart and, frankly, a brutal way to keep us completely stuck. Okay, so let's talk about the C-suite trap, because this is where it gets really counterintuitive. Why reaching the top only turns up the volume. So imagine this. You've been on that loop for a decade, maybe even 2. You finally get to the C-suite, and you're thinking, this is it. This is the title that will finally shut that critic up for good. But here's the tough pill to swallow. You're walking straight into a trap. Because it doesn't get quieter. It gets louder. A lot louder. The C-suite, the one place you thought you'd finally get some peace, is where that inner critic finds its biggest megaphone. And that's the shocking and honestly the painful irony for so many leaders. So why? Why on earth does this happen? Well, for a few reasons. First, the stakes are just objectively higher. Your calls affect way more people. Second, everyone is watching you. The spotlight is intense, and your inner critic, it knows this, so it changes its strategy. It recalibrates. It stops saying you're not good enough for this job and starts screaming, you better not mess this up, because if you do, everyone is going to see. And this whole pressure cooker just explodes at the exact moment you expected to finally get some relief. This gets to the heart of the myth we tell ourselves about the critic's role. The mythology is that this voice is what fuels our excellence, right? That it's what keeps us sharp and driven. But the truth? The truth is that the critic just fuels tension. It forces you to build your success on this totally unstable emotional foundation. It's like building a skyscraper on sand, and the pressure of the C-suite, well, that's the earthquake. So let's be really clear here. You can't outrun it. There's literally no title in the corporate world that's going to silence this voice. If your whole strategy is to achieve your way out of this problem, that strategy is going to fail. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. So, what do? What actually works? The bottom line is this. You cannot outachieve the voice. You cannot outrun it. And you definitely can't bury it under a pile of successes. The answer isn't out there. It's not in another promotion. It's not in a bigger paycheck. The real work, it's all internal. And that brings us to the only strategy that actually works. We've got to rewire the inner critic. Now, this isn't about fighting it or just trying to ignore it. It's about completely changing your relationship with that voice through a very deliberate process of, cognitive rewiring. So what is cognitive rewiring? Well, it's actually a concept from neuroscience. Think of it like this. It's the process of building new roads or neural pathways in your brain to permanently weaken the old destructive ones. It's all about confronting that voice head on, not trying to run away from it. Every single time you catch the critic and consciously replace its message, you're literally weakening an old connection in your brain and building a new, stronger, healthier one. And it's a really practical 3-step path. First, you have to understand your specific flavor of critic. Is it a perfectionist? Is it a people pleaser? Then, step 2, you learn to interrupt its patterns the second it tries to hijack your thoughts. And finally, step 3, you have to actively replace its fear-based stories with messages that are grounded in actual reality, in what you've actually done.
Okay, so now we need to talk about leading yourself first, because this internal work is so much bigger than just your external impact. This isn't just about you feeling better. It has a huge, huge effect on how you lead. How you manage what's going on inside your own head directly translates to how you show up for your team, especially when the pressure is on.
Here's maybe the most important takeaway of all. The C-suite magnifies what's already inside you. Leadership roles don't fundamentally change who you are. They just turn up the volume on it. So if you're calm and centered, that's what gets amplified. But if you're being driven by that inner critic, the C-suite will amplify that insecurity for absolutely everyone to see. And look, the cost of not doing this work, it's huge. You end up stepping into the biggest role of your life with a completely broken expectation, looking for relief and just finding burnout. And that unchecked critic in your head, it will be running the boardroom tomorrow. And let's be honest, the people you lead, they deserve a leader who isn't fighting a battle against invisible internal sabotage.
So at the end of the day, it's clear. You don't need a different title. You need a different inner voice. The real goal isn't just climbing another rung on the ladder. It's about building an inner voice that's stable and resilient, one that actually guides you through the pressure, instead of being another source of it. So as you think about your own career, just remember this. The C-suite is going to magnify whatever is already inside of you. So the real question you have to ask yourself is, who's going to be running your boardroom? Is it going to be you, your wisdom, your experience, or is it going to be your inner critic?